President William Ruto has told the 13th Parliament of his plans to table before the House pieces of legislation to implement some of his election pledges, some of which will require hundreds of billions of shillings to implement. Ruto says part of his plan is to continue to allocate more funds to the judiciary to execute its mandate. Sam Gituku reports.
During the general election campaigns, President William Ruto based his speech to the country on a platform of improving the economic livelihoods of low-income earners. He has since created a new Cooperatives and MSME Development Ministry. To make this pledge a reality, he now commits to present legislative proposals to operationalize the Hustlers Fund to the tune of 50 billion shillings per year.
My administration will allocate resources every year to the Hustler Fund, from which micro, small, and medium enterprises can access affordable credit to start and expand their businesses. I promised yesterday that we will leverage on technology in the management and disbursement of these funds. And shortly, we will be bringing to this House the legislation and the regulatory framework to operationalize this fund.
On the promise to put up at least 250,000 new affordable housing units every year, the President says his administration will soon be presenting draft legislation on means to achieving the vision.
I also wish to express our intention to bring to this House legislative proposals to provide a framework for a housing offtake plan, which will create incentives for developers to invest more money into our housing strategy and on the strength of guaranteed offtake of completed units.
The President says for his administration to grow the water access to 80% in under 10 years, they will seek to deploy a public-private partnership plan akin to power deals in the energy sector.
I have already instructed the PPP unit at Treasury to work on the regulations that will facilitate the mechanism like we have in our energy sector for investors to work with us on a formula under a water purchase agreement instrument.
On the day of his inauguration, President Ruto appointed 6 judges of the High Court and Court of Appeal, whose promotion had been pending for 3 years. He also promised to raise more resources for the judiciary, for which he now seeks legislators' approval to make it a reality.
I will be seeking additional resources to support the bottom-up scaling of justice and empower the judiciary to acquire capacity and develop the infrastructure needed to more efficiently adjudicate and expeditiously conclude corruption cases, commercial disputes, and all other matters that today are a huge backlog on the judiciary.
And with the inaugural presidential speech to the 13th Parliament, the real work now begins of transforming the words and the promises contained in the manifesto and the many speeches given into actionable policies that can bring transformative change to the lives of Kenyans. Sam Gituku, Citizen TV at Parliament.